it takes 6 months to 2 years of consistent community building effort for it to show results. All right. Now, but once the results come, it is exponential. All right. Suddenly things would blow out of proportion, but that sudden blowing out of proportion has taken time to create. Okay.
Right.
Why I am stating this? Just to say, when we are talking about community building, if I am sharing a pain point or if I am sharing a challenge, all right, I am sure that 20,000, this is some random number I'm picking, odd folks also have a similar challenge. All right. And what happens is like we connect over emotions. You are having that challenge, I am having that challenge. We are like so much pissed off about it that we want to talk about it. As we are talking about challenge, what we are also figuring out that how to solve it. All right. Or is there anybody who has solved for it? Or what are the ways to approach it so that, we get to learn from each other. So that is where we are building a bond.
Hi everyone, I hope you're doing very, very well. It has been a long time since I'm doing sessions on startups or startup talks with Harshita, and then I try to imbibe community things around it because I think communities are a very important part of a startup, and thus we have today Vineet Nandan Gupta with us. Hi Vineet, how are you doing?
Hey Harshita, I'm good. How about you?
I am doing great, and I'm super excited for this episode because it's like you are the first person I met in like the community industry, and I got to know that it's like a legit thing out there, and it was like so much to learn from you and collaborate with you multiple times, and obviously have you here. So thank you for coming here. Looking forward to an like very exciting conversation.
Sure. Awesome. I mean, my pleasure.
Great, thank you. So let's start with the session. I'll just explain you. It would be like a different concept from all the other sessions that we have done. So I have realized this over time that many or the majority of the audience don't know exactly about what community is, what community management is. So in this, we would be decoding some of those 8 community management terms that we recently use, and they like people don't know the meaning of it. Like there are like a lot of words roaming around there. So this would be like that community decode wala session, and I am like sure it would be like a great session with you because you can actually put your examples out there and experiences in all of them. So yes, that would be the format for this. And before that, I would love you to request, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, thanks, Harshita. Hi guys, I'm Vineet. I'm a community strategist and podcast host. I help companies integrate community as a business strategy for growth. So I've been working since last 15 years as of now, as far as I can recall. Worked with different companies across various industries. And since last 7+ years, I have been part of the startup and the community ecosystem. I became community builder by accident, I would say, taking it up as a profession, but somehow liked it, and I have seen companies scale with it. So I decided to jump on my own as an independent consultant to help companies integrate community as a business strategy for growth. Now, when you are talking about decoding multiple jargons, I am also still learning about community. So I will try my level best to answer as per best of my abilities with whatever questions you're throwing across.
Great. No worries, no tension at all. It's like a very honest conversation out there. And I'll just highlight this point that all of the community managers I had on this show, it's like all of them are community managers by accident, including me. So I think that's a common phenomenon everyone would have, because I don't think there's even a legit term like community manager out there, since like it's like now it's becoming more popular and more common. But I think 2 years back or 3 years back, it was not so popular or common between people.
So Harshita, just to put it out there.
Yeah.
I started as a community manager way back in 2015. All right. And 91 Springboard had community manager at least 2 years prior to that. Point number 1. Globally, during the time when I was transitioning into my own independent consulting practice, I have realized that community community management as an industry, as a job role, has been active since at least 18 to 20 years. Why I am saying this is because at Community Folks, we have hosted Erica Cole and Brian Oblinger. And Erica Cole was the person who started community at Salesforce. She went on to become VP of community at Salesforce over a period of 18 years. And then she jumped into her independent consulting. So the time she started her independent consulting career, and we were about a couple of months apart. Having said that, I look up to these guys who are sort of veterans in the community industry to learn from them whatever it is possible and become good at what I do professionally. So that's the long story of community as a professional career. And since the time immemorial, from right from the nomad days, we have been part of community. As humans, we have been part of community. So it is not that this is an alien term to us. It is just that now we have started actively recognizing it and putting it out to the world. Yeah, that's the whole history behind the community.
Definitely. Thank you for taking us to that. And I'm I see a lot of communities active out there, especially in the other countries, not in India currently. I'm sure there are multiple companies making it live in India as well. But yeah, it's I think it's more common nowadays due to social media, due to this term called personal branding and LinkedIn and all of it. Now everyone has a community of their own. Okay, going ahead with the thing, I think we just decoded the history of community things. So let's get started with the other term that you mentioned, which is called the community ecosystem. So I think that simplifies how the community ecosystem would work, but in brief, if you would like to tell us what it is exactly about.
Okay, so when we are talking about ecosystem, we are talking about various stakeholders which are part of something bigger. Like if you look at world, so we are an ecosystem, right? Biosphere, hemisphere, other things taken into account. So that is the bigger aspect of it. So let me narrow it down a little bit more for everybody's contextual understanding. As we had studied in economics while we were in school from 9th standard onwards, we spoke about the stakeholders of folks, being part of a business. So for any business to succeed, there are 5 key stakeholders which are required. That is infrastructure, service providers, networks, knowledge, and capital. As I as a business cannot do everything on my own, and I am dependent on other folks who are providing some or the other service which is useful for my product or service to be successful. All right. Now, all of these stakeholders, when they come into one part, that is what we call ecosystem, because somebody is providing service A, somebody is providing service B, somebody is providing service C, and that is how they are making our life easier per se.
Right.
All right. Just take an example. Like for example, if you have to go from your office to home or from your home to an airport. All right. Initially, we used to go out, look for taxis. Then we had a couple of taxi drivers, a phone number with us, we give them a call and they come. Now with Ola and Uber, it has actually democratized the entire process. All right. So if you look at Ola and Uber as an app, all right, they do not own cars, they do not own drivers, they do not own the business operations of the taxi as a service. But what they are doing is they have provided a platform where I as a user can book a cab at any point of time during the day or night, and easily I can use a service. All right. So just imagine, instead of me having a car, keeping a driver, making sure that it is taking me from place A to place B, I have additional convenience of using this particular platform to make sure that my needs are being taken care of and I'm able to do my work effectively. So all these become part of my ecosystem. All right. For me to be successful, I am dependent on multiple stakeholders or service providers, as we say, to make sure that I am doing my job effectively, and they become part of my ecosystem. So that is the holistic piece to say in the simple example. And as we go ahead, we will put everything together.
Got it. I think you explained it very well around the community ecosystem that we have, because ecosystem is like a combination of people coming together of similar mindset or similar services, or it's services with like complementing each other. So I think that comes with one under one roof, and that we called as a community ecosystem. So I think every profession and everyone can have a community of their own, of their interest, of whatever they want to do. And it's like health professionals, artists, even community for community builders, and then startup communities and all of it. So I think every profession can have it. Moving forward, the next term I would like you to decode is community building, because then we will be going into specifics of how the community building is done. But yeah, let's start with that.
So when we talk about community building, so understand it this way. Like, for example, you are starting a community for your organization. I will keep it to, business purposes, professional organizations, as well as interest-based groups or brand communities, so that it becomes easier for everybody to, understand and keep track of it. So when I'm talking about community building, all right, so I, as an organization, is solving a particular pain point for a particular group of audience. All right, because I know that this is a challenge which is being faced by multiple folks, and it becomes easy if I talk about this challenge and then solve it out, so that the folks who are actually in need of the services which I'm providing, all right, they are aware about it. So when I want them to understand what is going on, all right, I have to build a community around it. I have to share my knowledge around it. I have to listen to what my audience is saying, what my stakeholders are saying. All right. And that is how we actually come together, unite for a particular cause. So just to say, when we are talking about community building, if I am sharing a pain point or if I'm sharing a challenge, all right, I am sure that 20,000, this is some random number I'm taking, odd folks also have a similar challenge. All right. And what happens is, like, we connect over emotions. You are having that challenge, I am having that challenge. We are like so much pissed off about it that we want to talk about it. As we are talking about challenge, what we are also figuring out that how to solve it. All right. Or is there anybody who has solved for it? Or what are the ways to approach it so that, we get to learn from each other? So that is where we are building a bond. All right. Now, when this bond becomes very strong, all right, multiple folks come together for a specific thing. That is what we are saying, that the community is being built. Okay. So I think I have explained some part of it. You ask another question and possibly, I'll be able to explain it to you better.
Sure. I think that actually sums up the community building part in true terms, and not with any perspective of a community builder, ya fir customer, ya fir company, but it's like a community building part. Going forward, please, Go ahead.
I'll explain. Go ahead. The thing is that since this is decoding community terms, so we might as well decode a community terms one by one at a time, and later on then everything can be summarized into one piece, making it easier for all of us to understand that where exactly we are.
Right. I think all of them are pretty overlapping each other as well, and they are quite complementary. So I think we can sum up for sure. Going forward, the next term is community strategy. That is like particularly used by the community builders or people in the community space. How would you explain that community strategy?
When we are talking about strategy, so understand it. Strategy is like a top-down approach. What happens is that I, as an organization, I want to go from point A to point B, or keeping it, more holistically in number terms, we want to grow 10x. All right. So whatever we are doing, we are at a particular stage as an organization. Now, if we have to go from X to 10x, all right, there would be multiple things which would be needed. There would be multiple avenues which needs to be explored. All right. The resources are always limited, both in terms of time, money, manpower, everything taken into account. So when I have to optimally utilize my resources to go from X to 10x, I need a strategy in place. I need milestones and strategy. Then it is divided into milestones. Then it is divided what is working and what is not working. All right. So when I'm talking about community strategy, I have a certain idea in mind that, okay, for this particular brand or an interest, I want to be so and so in this particular space. All right. How do I get there? From where do I start? What are the processes that would be involved? With whom would I collaborate? How will I take it from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, and 10 to 100? All right. To build that entire things in place, that is what we call strategy, community strategy specifically. All right. Now, breaking it down to a community builder who is starting, right now at a 0 to 1 stage, they are in the initial stages of their career. So just imagine, for a particular community, once in a month a physical meetup is being organized. All right. When the community builder organizes it for the first time, it is like, chit chat which is going on. When they're organizing it for the second time, they have already taken in the feedback from the members who have attended the meetup. They are incorporating that. When they are also asking what do they want next. So when they are doing it for the third time, certain other things are, being done. Now, once you have done one event a month for 6 months, when you look back, you figure out that these are the certain points, which has been covered. These are the certain instances, which made sense. These are the certain pain points which we are covering for our members. All right. So when I'm going to organize the next one, I might look back into the insights and the data which has been put across. I'll also ask from the members, what is being expected. And depending on what the goal of the community is, which I am putting into place, I will take all these three things into account and plan for the next couple of events. Just to start with events when you're starting it out. So when I'm doing a future planning and taking in the information from the prior knowledge, also understanding what is going on globally, locally, all right, and putting it into context, that is where the strategy comes into place. So you really need to have hands-on experience in doing stuff before you get onto the strategies. And that is what we call as community strategy. So it starts from event, and event is only one piece of it. There are multiple aspects to community, and when we are talking about community strategy, then we are looking at it from a top-down approach.
Okay, would you like to name what are those multiple aspects apart from the events for a community?
So the fact of the case is that event is one place where the members are meeting in person. All right. Social media activities are one, second place where they are also coming and communicating. Forums and apps and platforms are the place where they are exchanging, knowledge, thoughts, information, asking questions with each other. All right. Newsletter becomes a piece which is being, sent out by the community to the members in terms of what is going to happen. So on. So these are a couple of things combined with multiple other tasks. So going to an event need not solve my purpose. All right. But going to an event can be a start of a journey for a bigger scheme of things. All right.
Right.
So just to break it down to the basics, I started with events because every community hosts events, whether we like it or we don't like it. All right. It can be in person, it can be virtual. All right. It can be AMA chat-based sessions. It can be a Instagram or a LinkedIn live, or even a live session. It can be a closed room discussion or an open forum. Anything, but everything can be broken down to event-specific stuff.
Right. And I think event becomes a more crucial part of a community because people like the proportion of people talking on DMs or talking on the community is less, but they may show up on the events and actually talk physical. Even if it's a virtual event, it's like a more communication is there. They can talk freely. They don't have this limitation key. I'll put up a question for 2 ghante baad someone is replying, and it's like a gap that happens. So I think in events, even if it's like a just 15-minute, 20-minute event, it actually if you are starting, these are good for a icebreaker thing to the community members.
True.
Got it. So you did community strategy is done. Then comes the community engagement. So as the word suggests, we know that engaging the community. But what does it mean in terms of how to engage the community better, and what is like the worst engagement strategy maybe you have heard about? So yeah.
I do not know what is the worst engagement strategy or the best engagement strategy. So basically, engagement means that the members of your community are talking to each other. All right. As a community professional, your job is to A, initiate those conversations, B, add to the conversations which are going on, C, also create newer conversations. All right. Now, as a community builder, you are also an enabler. All right. So when your members are feeling safe, they are feeling heard, they know that their opinions are being valued and you are asking for it. So they also go ahead and respond to the discussions which are going on, start new discussions. And that is exactly what we call engagement. So the best engagement would be that the community is self-engaged. Somebody starts a question, other members are answering it. There is a discussion which impromptu prompts up. There are insights which come in and somebody picks it up and puts it out, and there is another conversation which is going on. So that is the best engagement, where the community manager is actually playing a least role. That is the best engagement. All right. When you're talking about worst engagement, it's like you are trying n number of things and nothing is working out. Folks are not only not showing up, they are not responding even in likes, share or comment for that matter. That is exactly what we say is the worst engagement piece.
Right. It's like you yourself.
It's relative. It's relative. As simple as that.
Got it. So I think that actually sums up the community engagement thing, and I totally understand that the worst and best scene, because it's like in a community, if you're just talking to yourself and no one is exactly engaging with the community or maybe initiating conversations or something, it has no point, right? You can talk to yourself otherwise also, but if you're talking to them, if the response is there and if it's like a good response and initiating response, then it's like a ever growing community that we call.
True.
Okay, so I have another word with this, which is known as community marketing. So okay. Is it like okay? You can go ahead and sum up this word for us. But as again, the word suggests community marketing. So marketing your community to other members. So again, how it works and what's like the best and worst practices?
Okay, marketing your community to other people. Good. That can be one aspect of it. All right. So now what happens is that when you start a community, we are experimenting with multiple things. As community scales and grows, we put structure to it. All right. There is operations, there is moderation, there is event, there is marketing and other things taken into account. When we are talking about community marketing, there are 2-3 different aspects to it. First, if there is a brand collaboration done with a different organization, all right, you are sharing the information of those collaboration with your members. 1. 2, if there are a couple of member-initiated discussions, conversations, business proposals, anything which needs to be put across to the community, you are stating it out to the members. That is one thing. Third, the members from the community are deriving the value, and you would love to have similar kind of folks to be part of it, so that the value proposition is enhanced and everybody can benefit out of it. That is also outreach, that also becomes part of the community marketing. So essentially it is marketing per se, what we do in the business scenario, but it is different considering the fact that the community angle comes into place. So you are not going ahead and selling anything and everything, but essentially it becomes part of information sharing, knowledge sharing, understanding and putting it out that, okay, this is what it is. Also, it comes with a caveat that nobody likes to be sold, right? So it becomes very imperative that the caveats are put out way in advance before the event or the campaign is executed.
Got it, got it. And I think that goes well with the community marketing thing, because it's like getting new folks on the community, but a level of folks that it's like a high quality driven community where you only want a certain types of folks to be in, and not everyone out there. Because it's commonly said that if you are marketing to everyone, you are marketing to no one. So I think that comes into play. And my last word for this would be community management. And I know you would say that all of these terms come under community management, but let's brief that to the audience and wrap up with the discussion.
So what is community management is your question, right?
Yeah, the next term that we are taking. Right.
Okay. So when we are talking about community management, what we understand is that the community is already in place. All right. Whatever you are doing to actually making sure that the members are talking to each other, which is the engagement, the challenges of the members are being addressed, which is actually, why they are out here. You are becoming a connector among, different stakeholders, as well as there is a value which is being derived from it. So all of it taken into account is called community management. It is not only one aspect. So it's not like you're going to an event, you're writing a blog post, subscribing to a newsletter, you are initiating conversation. It is like, as a community manager, you are doing everything which is making sure that your community is A, deriving value, B, staying engaged, C, there are collaborations and discussions which are happening, and everybody is benefiting out of it. So that entirety of the thing is called community management. At the end of it, whatever is the purpose of the community for which it was built, all right, that is being achieved out of it.
Okay. I think you very well summed up that community management thing. It's just a question out of curiosity that what is, I have heard this a lot, that community takes a lot of time to see results. Even it's in the form of marketing or people engaging or whatever goals you have, it takes time. But how would you explain that, how much time it would take, if in numbers, if you want to say to it?
Okay. So there is this Professor Adam Grant from Wharton School of Business. What he has stated is like, it takes 50 hours of communication between two people to become a friend from acquaintance. All right. And it takes 200 hours of communication among two people to become from friend to a close group member. All right. So this is something which is stated out there. You can read his tweet, and after this conversation, I might even share that specific screenshot with you. All right. So this is what the professor has stated. Now, it takes time to build trust and belongingness. It cannot be scaled overnight. All right. Because at the end of the day, we are creating those safe spaces where people are opening up, they are talking to each other. All right. And that is why community takes time to build. Now, in my experience, working as a community professional, it takes 6 months to 2 years of consistent community building effort for it to show results. All right. Now, but once the results come, it is exponential. All right. Suddenly things would blow out of proportion, but that sudden blowing out of proportion has taken time to build, create. Okay.
Right.
Why I am stating this? When I joined as community manager with 91 Springboard Hyderabad, all right, way back in 2015. So it was a remote location hub. So 91 Springboard started in Delhi, and Hyderabad went on to Gurgaon, and Hyderabad was the place where the founders were not present. All right. So first of all, the concept of co-working in 2015 was new. That how can I share office with other organizations? Also, if there are two competitors, like two software companies, how can two software companies sit out of same place? Point number one, because folks were used to the concept of private office where you have one manager, cabins, and 10 workstations to be taken into account as an example. Point number one. Point number two, since the organization came in from outside, I mean, it started in Delhi and then, we were part of the Hyderabad team. We were considered as outsiders. All right. Third, the fact of the case was that people were skeptical. Why do I pay only for a month, all right, to take up a desk in a co-working space? Because obviously the office rental agreement and all the legalities, it is a long-term affair. But what we did was that we wanted to create an ecosystem where the startups, freelancers, SMEs, they come together, the stakeholders are coming onto one place, there's a value which is being created, everything putting into place. All right. And there is the exchange of ideas, information, and everybody is benefiting out of it. So for about good 6 months, when we were consistently doing events, we were hardly seeing any results. Later on, people started recognizing, okay, you want to talk about startups, you want to visit what events are happening, look at 91 Springboard. All right. Later on, the entire startup ecosystem matured, things grew up, and then suddenly it went crazy. So at some point of time, when we were at like a 20 or a 30% occupancy, figuring out how do we fill up our hubs to make sure that it is profitable, we were clueless. But 6 to 10 months down the line, our hubs were running at 80% capacity. And that is what is the power of community. So this is the example of what do you call 91 Springboard where I was working. Later on, when I have researched about multiple communities, till date I have done more than 200 plus community strategy consulting assignments. All right. Some of them paid, some of them pro bono, some of them I have shared my thoughts and so on and so forth. What I have realized is like this is the pattern which it happens. So I know that community building is a long-term game. I know that it takes time for community to build and mature and add value to the organization. That is why as a community strategist, I state it out loud that if you are looking for a get-rich-quick scheme or overnight success, it is not going to happen. But if you are in the business for the long run, if you are in it for long-term strategy, make sure that you have started invested in the community for your organization. The reason is pretty straight. Word of mouth is the best way of marketing. All right, because if I'm using a product or service, I like it, I go ahead and freely share about it. All right, community becomes best way to institutionalize word of mouth. And once you're institutionalizing word of mouth, what you're also doing is you are making sure that the customer lifetime value is increasing. You are making sure that the referrals are coming in. You are making sure that there is peer-to-peer learning and collaboration happening. You're also making sure that the product adoption is taking place. Because if I have a challenge with something, like for example, if I am not able to operate Zoom efficiently and you are a much better, person at operating Zoom, it becomes easier for me to get access to you and become better at operating this Zoom as a platform compared to reaching out to somebody else and saying that, I am not able to use your product effectively. But I would say that this is a particular product, service or a feature, which is having a glitch or there's a challenge to it. Why don't you look into it? Those guys would be in a much better position to help me out than to say, how do I use? You're getting my point? So that is where the community plays a very critical role.
Right. And if I want to sum up this entire conversation in like one line, it would be like filling that gap between what the consumers want and what the companies are actually providing. Because it's like sometimes companies provide something which is like very useful, very important for the consumers, but they're not they are not reaching out to those customers and they don't even know what the companies are building and everything. But then community actually makes it easier, and then it actually build trust over time. Because if I am trusting you and you are referring me to something, please join this, please watch this video, please read this blog, so I trust you and I go ahead with that. So then if it's like that goes.
So I gave the consumer examples, the example of consumers specifically because everybody can relate to it. All right. Now going it to a little more philosophical state. So I have coined this equation: people plus purpose plus guidelines equal to community building plus growth. So basically, you get people together for a specific purpose or a cause or a challenge, anything which resonates with them. You put a guidelines into place, some sort of a framework where they are talking to each other. All right, initiating those conversations, putting those things in place, making sure that they are talking to each other. Once they start talking to each other, that is where community building is happening. Once that community building is happening, growth becomes the byproduct of it. All right, so this is the philosophical aspect of it. Now understand the fact that I have become a community builder from the startup ecosystem per se, because I have worked with startups and small companies, growth stage companies in my entire career as of now. All right, I may have consulted large organizations in terms of how they can put community into place, but of Startup Weekend. Okay, Startup Weekend is a property which was acquired by TechStars. TechStars is very well known in the startup ecosystem globally with the programs what there are. All right, what happens in a Startup Weekend is that it is organized at a particular place and it can be organized anywhere around the world. It starts on a Friday and goes on till Sunday. So the whole idea is behind the Startup Weekend is that idea to MVP product in 54 hours. And that is what the tagline says, that I have built my startup in 54 hours. So what happens is when the Startup Weekend is going to happen, they call in for application. The Startup Weekend can be a generic one or very industry or event specific. So like for example, I have attended Startup Weekend Fintech Edition Hyderabad. I have been part of as a sponsor while I was working with MTW Labs as Startup Weekend Emerging Tech Editions, so on and so forth. All right, so what happens is like the applications are being called in for and you have to pay a fee to apply for it. All right, then once you are there, depending whether it is a general Startup Weekend or it is a specific industry specific Startup Weekend per se, you are going to pitch your ideas. All right, so what happens is there's like an icebreaker event. Everybody who's out there, they pitch their ideas, then the ideas are voted. So whatever are the top 7 or 10 ideas participating in the event, all right, those are the guys who go to the next stage. All right, then they have to build their team. So some the folks have to be present in the audience itself. So you can go with your team like of 4 or 5 guys, or other people whose ideas have not been selected, they become part of your team. All right, and then they work over next 72 hours. They get Google credits and so on and so forth. There is mentoring, other things which are going on. The startup Google for Startups package and other things comes into place. All right, now in this 54-hour things, in Startup Weekend, there are 3 categories of folks which are effectively bifurcated. Those are hackers, hustlers, and designers. So hacker is basically guy who codes. Okay, hustler is the business guy, all right, who makes sure that the idea is going to business and other thing. And designer is the person who designs your specific design piece. All right, during the 72 hours, the idea is being, ideated, the MVP is being produced, the market research is being done. They are going and speaking to the customers out there real time, getting mentored by the mentor. And at the end of 72 hours, you have to present your startup in front of the jury. And with everybody votes for it, whichever is the best one, they win. All right, I was associated with Startup Weekend first while I was being interviewed for on-the-job interview at 91 Springboard Hyderabad. I attended Startup Weekend as a sponsor because 91 Springboard was co-voting partner for this thing, to experience the process. That was it. While I joined MTW Labs, we became a sponsor to Startup Weekend, Emerging Tech Edition. All right, and the entire environment is so lively and vibrant that it is like superb. Now, let me give you an example of my friend Aditya Patro, whom I met through Startup Weekend. So this guy, initially, he joined in as an attendee for the Startup Weekend. His idea did not get selected, but obviously he enjoyed the entire process. Later on, he became a volunteer where he was part of the group which was organizing the Startup Weekend. All right, moving on, he became a facilitator for a Startup Weekend. All right, and This is all the volunteer-led activity. The time he became facilitator, so there are global facilitators for Startup Weekend, and he had the chance to go and attend the conference in Singapore organized by TechStars for the Startup Weekend facilitators. All right. So why am I giving you this example? So you start as a attendee, or you start as a member in the community. You love the idea, the vibe, the purpose, whatever it is. Then you become volunteer, all right, where you are contributing more to the community. Once you become a contributor, then later on you go on to a moderator stage, because you understand the ethos, values, purpose behind it, all right, where you're moderating it. And from moderator, you become a builder. You can also be a community manager. And once you have understood this entire thing, then you move to the strategy piece, where you are actually helping businesses, organizations, brands, interest-based things to build community and making sure that they are deriving value from it. Why I'm saying this is because I, as a community professional, has learned it, experimenting. As a strategist, obviously, I bring in those experience and I say that, why are you doing the same mistakes again? Do some newer ones, experiment it out, and make sure that how things are progressing. And that's the whole idea, from a member to a strategist, how you exactly go through in your community journey.
Right. And I think when you actually live that journey over the years, it's like being volunteering or just to experience that stuff, you become a better community manager, because now you have the experience कि एक attendee को कैसा लग रहा होगा, एक volunteer को कैसा लग रहा होगा, and how they are actually feeling and what best they can do to accommodate them to the best.
True. Additionally, since I am part of multiple communities, where in some places I am a mere observer, in some places I am contributor, in some places I'm active contributor, and in a couple of places I'm, running the show, or part of the team which is running the show. So the fact is, I learn from each of them, understanding what is going on, and that is what brings the holistic picture into place.
Right. I think you summed up the entire discussion with this story for like very subtly. So yeah, thank you, Vineet, for being here and decoding the community terms with us, and looking forward to talk to you more and decode some more terms in the next episode.